Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing good out there. I think I got this thing working. I think it's actually working this time. I hope at least. So, if you guys are out there in chat, before I start going, let me know if you hear anything, if the sound sounds good, if you can see my picture good. Let me know if everything's working good for you guys. That will really help me out there. So, while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to get my screen ready to record. I tested this a little bit earlier today, so I think everything is nailed down. So I'm hoping that's the case. All right, we got one good vote from Michael, so that's good. Okay, all right, Darren, good job. All right, I'm gonna take your guys' word, and thank you guys for joining me for this live stream. Let me give you a quick background of this live stream real quick. The reason I'm doing this is because you guys know, as a part of my full-time Road to Full-Time series, I kind of started that to kind of detail out how to become full-time. So I'm technically, I guess, full-time. So what I want to do is kind of continue with that, not just do those videos that I've been doing where I take you on shoots with me to real estate stuff, but I'm also going to do small videos like this to kind of give you in a way, a behind the scenes of all of this stuff. So that's the reason why I wanted to do this, because it just made sense to just kind of do this. And I wanted to do it live because, you know, if I mess up, it's live. I don't want to go back and edit it. I can't go back and edit it. So might as well just do it live. To quote Bill Riley, we'll do it live. So that's what I'm doing here. That's the reason why I'm doing this. Now I'm going to do a little bit of background of this particular shoot and the reason why I'm doing this house. And as you can see here, I got my Lightroom open. Let me switch over there. I got my Lightroom open, and I'm doing this house was kind of a smaller home, and I got all of the photos here. These are the HDR shots. So what I did was, basically, with this shoot, with this particular shoot, I guess this is the first time I've really actually done this type of thing. But I used a tripod. I put my camera on the same exposure pretty much. It was on aperture priority. It was on f8, and it was on ISO 100, and it was that way the whole time. I think if I were to go in here and check on the settings, so you can see right up here, f8, ISO 100, and you can tell it's an HDR shot by the name that Lightroom renames it to HDR. And so all of these shots are the HDR shots. So to kind of give you a little sneak peek here, I've actually already shot this house. I've already photographed this house. I've already edited these photos. I've already delivered them to the client. So this house is technically done. So what I've done is actually go back through the files. I've saved my original edits all the way down here in the snapshots for all of these files, and reset all of them so that these are kind of how they came out of camera, but they're merged. They're all merged to HDR. If I were to go back here, turn the filters off, these are all of the files. There's a pretty good amount of them. So I did a 3 bracketed sequence all the way through, and this is the first time that I really actually did the HDR. Usually I just went handheld in there, didn't even use a flash, handheld, higher ISO, probably around 1600 or so, and just kind of handheld it the whole time. But the way I'm kind of doing this type of work now is I spend a little bit more time in the house, probably about 35-45 minutes on a regular home, and then I spend a little less time in editing. So that's kind of the background of this. So what I'm basically going to do here in this live stream is go for about an hour roughly. I've already kind of talked a little bit more than I wanted to, but go a little bit more for about an hour and just kind of go through all of the photos, how I would edit these photos. I've already done a little bit of the work by merging them to HDR. So I want to go and just edit these photos as I normally would and kind of talk to you about why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is the first shot I shot of the home. I kind of saved the exterior shots back here. I kind of save those for the end of the shoot. It's just kind of like a nice wrap up to get all the interior stuff first and then pop out and do the exteriors. So this was the first shot that I shot, and it's, you know, it's a pretty nice home. It was a smaller home, and it was detailed. The design was pretty nice. And let me switch over here. This thing's bugging me. There we go. The design was nice. It was clean, and that was one thing that I did enjoy. I didn't have to really do much moving around. But as you can see, I did miss some things when I walked into the home. We got this little kid's toy over here, but as you can tell in this photo, I moved it into the little hallway over here. So it's not that big of a deal. The realtor didn't have a problem with it, but I wish I would have got that out and the first shot there. But basically what I kind of do for my main workflow is I have a preset over here. Let me collapse some of my presets here. I have an import preset, which I didn't do for this particular live stream because that would be kind of cheating in a way. But I have an import preset, which is, it's like a standard preset for real estate stuff. And it's basically a combination of some of these presets down here, some of these Sleek Lens presets, some of my own presets. It's a combination of some of those. And I just save them as a standard import preset, and I will apply that to the first photo, and I'll see what it does to the first photo. It does a little bit of highlights adjustments, shadow adjustments, clarity, vibrance. It does a little bit of detail. It does the lens correction here, puts the profile on there. I don't enable the chromatic aberration. I probably should, but I don't enable that just yet. And it does a little bit of transform, but I always have to update the transform after I apply that preset. Not exactly sure why. So if you guys know a reason why that happens, I would love to know why it does that. But so basically that is the first thing I do. And then I will go ahead and highlight or select all of the rest of the photos. Go back on here, and I'm going to sync. I'm going to go to develop settings and sync settings, and I'm going to sync them all the way through the rest of the home. Now, I do know that maybe, you know, for example, this shot, it applied the preset, but it didn't do a really good job because, you know, this was pretty much underexposed from the beginning, as you can tell here. And the reason for that is because I was shooting into the windows. I had the same exposure the whole time. So I was really counting on the HDR to help me out with this in post. I don't get scared about that looking at the camera and realizing it's overexposed or underexposed, whichever situation it is. I just kind of deal with it in post when I get back, because again, this kind of going in here and getting the photos done is almost, you know, you're getting paid in a way you're getting paid by the hour. So if you spend 4 hours in a home and then you spend 2 hours editing and you get $100, you're not really making that much money, you know, versus your time. So that's kind of the main thing I do, and just go through, you know, highlight all of them, apply that same preset to all of them there, and then I'll go back in and do my manual adjustments. So probably the main thing I would do this again is just take the highlights down a little bit, because this part right here is a little too hot. I would take the shadows up to brighten that part up. I might even take the exposure up. I noticed that a lot of realtors, especially lately, don't mind little highlights like this. They don't really care about the front of the sofa, which I don't technically like this photo, but they wanted a shot coming right in the door. They don't mind if it's a little overexposed. They would actually rather it be brighter than have it be a little bit dull. So I don't mind cranking the exposure up just a little bit to kind of fit what they want, basically. So I would do that. I would do a little bit more clarity, and the reason I would do that is just trying to bring out a little bit more detail here, and maybe in the brick, maybe some of the fabric there. Do a little bit of vibrance here. I think I did go down here and do the update, did I? So it's going to apply that update. Not really much change there. But then I would kind of mess with the white balance. This one really doesn't need it too much. But one thing I hate, and I know it's just it's a matter of, you know, where you're shooting, what you're shooting, is, and I know the cabinets are this color back here, but I just hate the yellow tone in the cabinets. And so I have to kind of deal with that a little bit by going in the HSL panel here and messing with the luminance and the saturation of the yellow and oranges here. The yellow is going to take a little bit away. It's going to, I'm kind of increasing the yellow, the brightness of the yellow here. But if I go to the saturation, I'm taking down the yellow. It's affecting a little bit more than just this. So if I take the oranges down, that's going to definitely take it down. So I don't want to do that. So this is probably maybe 60% of the time when I'm looking at a photo to kind of balance out the what I would call a gross orange color in these cabinets. I really love it when I go into a kitchen and they have white cabinets or they have dark cabinets or something other than this natural wood. I'm not a big fan. So I spend a little bit of time playing with this. And sometimes it helps to darken them. Sometimes it helps to lighten them. It just kind of depends on the style of cabinet. But there's only so much you can do because you're affecting a little bit more than just this. You're affecting the floor, any kind of decorations here. So that's kind of what I'm doing. You can see we have a little bit of fringing over here. I don't really worry about that too much because, again, most likely everybody's not going to notice that. But, when I'm looking at a photo, I'm trying to be as picky as possible, even though I know that most people are not going to care about a purple fringing over here. And I can take that down using the purple over here or to the chromatic aberration. This I would typically take out. I would actually kind of take this in Photoshop, clone this over, and move it over here. For this house, I didn't, but I would typically want to do that if I'm taking my time and looking at this particular photo as if it were my own. Same thing with this toy, I would remove that. So let's just call this one done. Let's just call this photo done. For the most part, it's good. I can take down the highlights a little bit more. But for the most part, it's done. So real quick, a before and after. And I'm not going to take this much time on each photo, but you can kind of get a gist of what's happening here. The HDR really does help a little bit with definitely the window back here, maybe a little bit here, not much. But if I were to bump the neutral exposure up as much as I did here, it'd start looking a little bit noisy. So actually, just for fun, let's take my snapshot and see how different it is. So actually, I brightened it up a little bit more here than I did with the original photo. So let's go to the next photo here. And this one's going to be a fun one. This one took me a little bit to play with. So again, I'm going to make sure my preset is selected there. It definitely is. So now I just need to start cranking away at some of these adjustments here. And this is going to be a really, really tricky one if you kind of look at it. So definitely need to increase the shadows, see what we can get there. Not much. Take the exposure up a little bit, and you can see that definitely helps. Again, the HDR is helping a little bit. And this is all just HDR done in Lightroom. No other program, just all done in Lightroom. I'm going to take the highlights down so you can see we're kind of getting back to where it's starting to look like a pretty decent photo. I'm going to go to the HSL panel again. I'm going to take the yellows down, take the oranges down a little bit. Because again, I have a hatred. I think I have a pure hatred for that, warm orange color. I can do the white balance again to try to minimize some of it. Usually that just doesn't affect it as much as I would like. But for the most part, this is doing what I want it to do. So I'm going to increase the vibrance again. And let's see, what else can we do here? I don't remember what I did to these photos. So this is actually a good test. Let me run through my detail here. A lot of people think that you don't mess with the sharpening here. You don't really sharpen too much in post. But I found that, especially if you're shooting RAW and you're shooting a HDR, you definitely have to put sharpening here. I used to have my sharpening at a print value, which I would consider 100 for the amount and 1.5 for the radius. But I found that when I upload these, or when the realtor uploads these to like an MLS listing, the MLS compresses them so much that it just kind of crunches them. They just look weird. They look more pixelated than they actually do like a normal photo. So I leave the radius at 1.0, and then I keep the sharpening around 80, 85, somewhere around there. I just found that that's a decent number for this. You might see a little bit if you zoom in. This is 3:1. So if I were to zoom in 1:1, you're not seeing any detail, any kind of what you call it, the fringing or whatever from the sharpening. You're not seeing much of that at all. So that's pretty good. I'm okay with this exposure. Might actually brighten it up a little bit. And you notice I'm not really adding a lot of contrast to the photos. because that it kind of further enhances some of that orange down here, and I don't really prefer that. So again, this is kind of a fun thing, seeing what I did now versus originally. So let's go to the original here. So I actually did a little bit more color correction as far as the yellow tones. If I go back and do a Command Z, you can kind of see that this one has a little bit more warmth to it, which is not bad. I actually don't mind this one at all. But the one I delivered to the client was this guy right here. It was a little bit more clean, a little bit more blue, so stuff like that. So let me check chat here. Hey, Gary, how's it going? Saw you yesterday. I think it was yesterday, day before. I don't remember what day it was, at the JPEG to RAW stuff, so that was good. It's good to see you here, too. And if you guys have any questions in chat while I'm doing this, please leave them in chat. I don't mind taking a break real quick and answering some of these. That'd be kind of fun. But I'm just going to keep going on this because I really want to get through as many of these photos as I can. But yeah, one thing I always do to my original edits is name it OG for original. I thought that was funny. So yeah, this one's pretty good. I'm okay with this one. And you can see that, the angle is pretty decent. You kind of see a little bit of the hallway here. You kind of see a little bit of the custom detail in this little coat closet that they built right there. All of this is really kind of custom work. So this is kind of what they wanted to see. This one I'm probably not going to edit as much in this live thing, just because this one's kind of, they just wanted an accent wall shot here. So again, I would just straighten this up, take the highlights down, take the shadows up, take the exposure up a little bit, maybe correct the white balance real quick. I could even sample it off of the white area here and see what that does. It warms it up a little bit too much for my taste, so bring it back down. And that would be pretty much the basic edit, real quick edit of that particular photo. This one's going to be a little bit similar to that second photo over here. So actually, if it's fairly similar to this one, I'm going to actually copy the develop settings here, say copy everything, and paste them over here and see if we get something similar. Okay, it's a bit similar, and the reason I'm actually doing this and not showing you each individual edit is because this is what I would do if I was editing these to get to the client, because my turnaround time is usually the night of the shoot. So I try to get them that same day. Usually within 12 hours they have the final edited photo. So I'm trying to hurry past these and get these done. So this is exactly what I would do to a normal shot. I'm going to go to lens correction. That one actually didn't apply. I'm going to apply that there. Go to transform and update. And there we go. I don't like how it's still a little bit distorted here, so I might fix that. Let's see what the original edit was. So I still kept it, but it's a little bit more warm than what I just did. So, man, this is actually kind of fun knowing what I what I did originally and what I'm doing now. So this is a little bit too hot for me. I could take the whites down to try to lessen some of that and take the exposure down. As long as I can still see a little bit of green out there and still see some detail, that's usually what the realtors that I work for care about. They just want to be able to see a little bit of detail out there. They don't need it to be a perfectly, 7 bracketed shot where you see each individual tree out there. They don't care about that. Just so they can get a rough idea of the back area back there. That's really all they care about. Let me see. All right, I'm going to check chat. I'm kind of going back and forth here. I got 2 windows going here for the chat. Michael, he says, how do you put your foot in the door to start real estate and great work videos help? How do you get your foot in the door? That's always the main question. Let's see. Quick answer is have a really awesome online presence. Make sure that you have a solid portfolio on your website, but not just solid in the fact that you have really awesome images. I guess I can switch back to me. That'd probably be helpful. There you go. Let's see. You have a really solid portfolio, really solid images. I've always said this in a couple podcasts of a while back where I keyword all of my images, and I think that's actually helped a lot. And what I mean by that, I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but what I mean by that is when you have a photo and you export it to put it on your website, you keyword that photo. So you keyword it with maybe location, maybe definitely say real estate photographer or real dash estate dash photographer. You keyword it in the way that you want people to find it, maybe on a Google image search or on a Google My Business listing, because that's majorly important, is a My Business listing from Google there. You keyword that image. And I think that's actually helped me a lot, because I will keyword my images like crazy. I will put all location data, all surrounding areas that I service around me. I will put photography, photographer, got real estate, realtor. I would do a lot of keywords just to make sure if somebody searches those terms, they're going to probably come across my portfolio. So that's how I get some of the work that I get now. Again, I don't know if that's the main cause, but I think it really helps. And let's see. Thanks, Gary. The camera on the tripod behind me looks a little dicey. Yeah, that thing's gonna fall at any second. But thanks for looking out, Gary. So yeah, definitely a My Business listing. Definitely keyword your images and just make sure you have a really solid portfolio. And it's easy to find. Only your best work out there, which actually I got to go back and replace some of my stuff. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. It's really what people say. It's really 90% like word of mouth and like 10% of you putting your stuff out there. That's kind of what it is. Cause as soon as I get more clients, I try to have them spread the word, give them business cards, do whatever they can do to help me out and be my promotion instead of me promoting. So that's kind of I hate giving that kind of answer because I know it doesn't really give you like a silver bullet, but that's kind of the basics of it. So thanks, Mike, for that question there. So let me get back in here real quick. Again, I want to try to get through these as much as possible. So I'm going to leave this one as is. Let's see here. This one, basically just kind of like the same as the last one. I can actually just click on here and see what I can get from the develop settings. Paste settings from previous and see what we got here. Really, really hot. Don't want to keep that at all. So I'm going to go down to transform. I'm going to transform that and then take down the exposure. Could probably take down the shadows as well. I don't need that much shadow detail. But yeah, I mean, this would be kind of what I would deliver to the client. This area, just because maybe the wall is a little bit dark, I would actually take a gradient filter and I would pull this down just like that. And I'm actually going to close this. I got too many windows open over here that are distracting me. So let me actually close this. I'm going to hop back over to another chat window because my computer was having a bad connection. So yeah, I just got notified that I was having a bad connection, so I'm going to see if that helps. But yeah, exposure, I would actually bump that up over there. Maybe not that much. But you can kind of get the gist. This is kind of what I would do as far as kind of keeping that area over here. You can't even see what I'm doing. Man, oh man, I'm messing up. There we go. I think the reason you guys couldn't see my screen is because I was trying to do this over here. So yeah, I would draw a gradient out here and just do the exposure, and that would kind of help a little bit there. So I kind of use gradients a lot like this because I've noticed that when I focus on some of the parts of the image, I know that all of the stuff around it would be kind of dark. So I try to brighten that up with gradients, and it seems to help a little bit. So let's go over here. All right. So I actually really liked this photo because the realtor wanted to show that this whole area was one big open area. I mean, that makes sense. You can kind of get a sense of it over here, but he wanted a shot from back in the back. So again, I would do the same thing, highlights, shadows, do the transform, update the transform, make sure that's there. It kind of straightens everything up a little bit. I don't get as much as the kitchen as I wanted, and I was far back as I could. I got my wide angle on, so I couldn't get as much because he wanted the window to this window over here. I just couldn't get it. I would have to get like a 16 millimeter lens to do that, but So again, I would just kind of do the exposure here. To mess with the colors, like I always try to do, is take down the oranges on the saturation. Let me go over there. Take down the oranges on the saturation, take down the yellows, and just try to dull that a little bit, because it's kind of overpowering. I feel like your eye automatically goes over here, which is okay, but it's too much. It's too much yellow. So I would keep that there, just like that. Let me check on my stream, because I don't want this thing to go down. Gosh, YouTube's great for live, but sometimes it just craps out on you. So make sure that's good. All right. Let's see. This one, I don't think I'm going to edit this one real quick, just because it's kind of a shot of the kitchen. I want to kind of get to these over here. So I'll just show you the original edit that I had, which is this one. Yeah, I kind of try to lessen this a little bit, but also make sure it's brightened up a little bit. And you can see out here, I actually had to get behind the table to hide. There was a dog, or two dogs back here, and I didn't want them to be in the photo. So I wanted to kind of crop them out. Let's see. All right. Oh, I got to close that out. So yeah, I had to hide them from the photo, and that was about it. So there was really nothing much to that photo there in particular. This one I had to wait on, just to kind of give you a background on this one. I had to wait on it a little bit, because the realtor kept talking and walking out and walking back in this doorway here. So I had to stand there for a little. He was on his phone, so I couldn't really just tell him to move. But let's take the highlights down. You can see that back there. I'm actually going to lose some of that when I take the exposure up, take my shadows up, take the exposure up. Let me go back and do my transform. I always have to do the transform. I always have to make sure that's checked. And thankfully that got rid of that little fridge poking out here on the left. Let me check chat here, because I keep getting nervous about my stream. Do you ever stitch two photos together to get wider? From Gary. Not really. I'm trying to think of an occasion I would. If I wanted to get wider with this one, if I wanted to get the fridge, which I probably wouldn't in this particular photo, because I don't really want to have the side of the fridge right in front of me. But maybe in this photo I would have. The only downside about doing that, at least from what I can imagine giving these to a client, would be that I think the ratio would be a little off, maybe because this image before it is, this 4:3 or whatever it is ratio. And then if I had to crop and get wider, that would show up a little bit differently, than the other photos on the listing. I hope that makes sense, Gary. I just think the ratio would be a little bit off as far as the photo goes. As far as cropping them, splicing them together and getting a wider shot, if I needed to, I definitely would. But I just think it would look a little off. I've already, I haven't shown these yet, but just doing these type of photo, this photo of the bathroom, and then going and taking another photo like this, even this just bugs me, because I want all the photos to be uniform. I want all of them to be, landscape orientation. Yeah, that's just the only thing. That's stuff I pick about myself, so I know I would be picky about if I stitch two photos together. So, but that's a good question. Yeah, I definitely would if I had to. It almost kind of goes in that realm of a virtual tour. Those really wide open photos that people can pan around. It almost kind of goes into that. But yeah, thanks for the question, Gary. Let's see. I'm gonna go to this main kitchen here. This kitchen, it's gross. I don't like it. I just hate this color cabinets. I don't like that color cabinet. So I'm gonna take the highlights down. Shadows, I don't even know if I want to take them up. One thing I would do, which I think I did in the original, you can see my tripod leg right there in the front of the oven. So I would have to stamp that out, or I could probably take care of that in Lightroom. I think I actually did. But I had to take that out. And let's see. So this is where I would definitely play with the colors of the yellow and the orange. You can see it kind of tones it down a little bit right there. I would probably take the luminance up on the orange just to brighten up those cabinets. And then this is where I would add a little bit of clarity, just like that. and I would bump this up. Again, these are going to be probably too overexposed for my particular taste, but the realtors definitely want a really bright image. And when I give them bright images, they love how it looks. And it makes sense. You know, people want to have a nice, well-lit home and no dull areas. So that definitely helps. I can take the tint down, or the temperature down, try to help it a little bit. But you kind of get the gist of kind of that workflow of just messing with the colors and making sure that's good. Let's check out the original edit to see how different it is. Okay, so I did keep a little bit of the warmth. I added a little bit more blue with the temp. So I think that's that was probably a good choice. I think I did it right originally. It's fun to go back and see. Let's see. This one, I didn't really want to get this one, but the client wanted this style of shot just facing the window. So that wasn't my personal favorite. This one was pretty similar to this one. Just wanted a different close-up view, a little bit higher up, a little bit counter height for this one right here. Let's just go ahead and turn that one on so you can see. So again, yeah, just a little bit of color adjustments, mainly exposure adjustments. So let's break away from those two areas of the home and try to get in some other pretty decent areas here. So this was a guest bedroom. I don't really prefer these shots. And this is kind of the same stuff that goes through my mind. This was the original adjustment. This is kind of the same stuff that goes through my mind when I'm editing. I know when I go to a home, I want to get this. There's always certain rooms that I want to edit first because I'm really excited about this particular room or this particular area of the house. I hate doing rooms like this. I don't prefer them. This is kind of like a filler shot to me, just to show that there's a room here. I mean, same with this one. I didn't really want to get this one, but they wanted to show that there are the two rooms connect over here. Basically it. So I just did really basic adjustments to these two rooms, or these two shots of this one room. This one they definitely want to highlight it in this house because they did a lot of custom work. They did these like barn door shutter things. So this was one that I actually had to actually move my car because I had my car parked over here. So I had to go outside and move my car so I wouldn't see it in the window. But for this one, transform, update, I mean, some of this stuff is just basic, all the same stuff, all repetitive. I don't want the highlights down that much. There we go. Shadows up a little bit, exposure up a little bit, just like that. There's a little bit of color in here, so I'd take the vibrance up in this photo. And I would actually keep the warmth. Normally I wouldn't. I tried to take away a lot of the warmth, but I would actually keep the warmth in this photo just because it kind of blends in with all the colors. You have the cooler tone of the wall, warm tone of the light, so the colors actually go together pretty nicely. So I would keep that there. And that's a basic edit of this home. Maybe the clarity a little bit more to bring out some texture and the sharpening there, but pretty much good. This one, he just wanted to show that the double doors here. This house was a new realtor and a new realtor to me. So he was kind of walking around with me, showing me the house and saying what kind of angles he wanted. So some of these photos I would not have taken. I didn't want to take this one because I knew the chair was going to be in my way. I didn't want to move the chair, so I knew it was going to be in my way here. So I don't like this in the photo. But again, I'm working for him, so that's kind of what I had to do. So let's just toggle on the original adjustment right there. I'm going to take a quick water break. If you guys got any questions, put them out there. Love to hear them. Let's see. Let's go to a bathroom photo. This bathroom photo, it's not the greatest bathroom, but this will give you an idea of why I do the color adjustments, the HSL panel adjustments. So I'm going to toggle on, let's see, go to the transform, make sure the lines are straight there. I'm going to go to the basic, take my highlights down. I'm going to take the exposure up because since this is a fairly white bathroom, I want to kind of bring out the white in the bathroom. So I'm going to keep as much of the white, the bright white walls as I can. But watch when I go to the HSL panel and I go to the saturation. Watch what happens when I take down the yellows. I get that yellow tone going away. That indoor lighting tone going away, and I start to get a little bit better color in the cabinets, the surrounding areas. The toilet looks a little wider, the curtain looks a little wider, that sort of thing. I'm gonna actually take the shadows up a little bit and the clarity. So yeah, that's the main reason why I do those color adjustments. So for this one, I would go ahead and just copy. Let's do a copy there, click on here, and we'll do develop settings and paste. See what we got there. Again, it just brightens everything up, and that's what they want. They want a really bright bathroom. I actually would have probably, if I could go back, I would take this towel down. This towel was not dirty, but it actually looks dirty in the photo. But I would take that towel down. Let's see. So there we go. Let's see. This is just a regular laundry room. There's not really nothing special about it. So I just kind of did a basic edit. You know, I just kind of do basic edits to some of these rooms that I don't really care about. And they seem to work just fine because, you know, I deliver more photos than the MLS listing is, than the max of the MLS listing. So, you know, the realtors actually have a hard time picking and choosing which ones they want to put on there. So let's go back. I'm going to switch to this photo. Before I edit this one, I'm going to go check chat again. We got Gary says, have you ever have to replace a light bulb in a shot? Gary, you are a some sort of fortune teller or something, because yesterday I had a realtor that I work with, or that I just photographed a first home for her, and it was a very expensive home in our area, in my area. It was an expensive home, and there was a kitchen shot, and the kitchen had all the lights on. Everything was perfect. But there was a hallway next to the kitchen, and I could probably, I don't know if I'm going to probably get lost if I go back. But I would show you the actual photo. But there's a hallway outside of the kitchen that had a bar, a nice bar, had, you know, alcohol everywhere, a sink, had cabinets. And the way that it was situated was in a small hallway, and there were recessed lighting to the left of it, right above it, and then to the right of it, there was a bulb burned out. And I knew that it wasn't going to be that huge of a deal to not replace it and just take the shot. I could fix it later. But she really wanted to have that light on, and the bulb was burned out. So I told her we could just unscrew one from the kitchen and put it in there. Obviously, I had to let those bulbs cool down a little bit because they were really hot. but yeah, I had to wait. I had to go photograph a couple other rooms, wait till the bulb burned out, or till the bulb cooled down, and then I could photograph that room. And then thankfully, she didn't care if I put it back. She just didn't. It didn't. She told the homeowner, "Don't worry about it. We'll get rid of it." But yeah, that was what happened just yesterday. So good call on that, Gary. But that was kind of fun. That shoot, it was a very large house, had drone work with it. That shoot probably took way longer than I wanted it to, almost 2 hours at the house. So way longer than I wanted it to. I think the photos turned out pretty good. But here we are in the master of this house. Man, I got 20 minutes left to fill up this hour, and I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough time. Let's see. We got this house, or this master right here. Again, I'm not shooting into a window, so I'm not going to have to worry about the highlights too much. And one of the reasons why I didn't photograph more on this side is because there was a huge dog cage right next to this nightstand, so I didn't get over as much as I wanted to, because I probably would have removed this chair and just scooted this whole this whole photo, that's a very tricky sentence, over a little bit to the left and got more of the nightstand. But the dog cage was too big, so I didn't really worry about it. And the realtor didn't care. He didn't want to move the dog cage, so I'm going to go ahead and take the vibrance up a little bit, make those walls pop a little bit more. Transform, as always, take that up. As you can see, this house is not too bad. It wasn't a very bad shoot, because it was clean. I'm not used to the houses being this clean, which was actually nice and surprising. But yeah, I'm just kind of messing with the tones here. I'm not really worried about much of the yellowish tones. The wall's yellow, so if I took that down, it'd be pretty obvious. If I started doing this, it just mutes it a little bit, so I don't want to do that. And let's see. So that would be pretty much it for this particular photo. If I'm being really picky with it, and I have done this with some shoots, this TV here, I hate the reflections in TVs. Back here, if I were to go to the first shot, I hate these reflections. I hate the TV is always obviously off, but I hate that reflection. So I would go and take these photos into Photoshop and put a fake rectangle over there with a gradient to kind of minimize it, because that catches my eye more than anything, and I hate it. But as far as just delivering them for MLS, they're okay with the reflections. They don't care. But my particular taste, I would hate to keep that in there. This is another pet peeve of mine, the fans going. I don't prefer the fans moving. But some of the realtors that I do work with actually like the fans moving. I don't know why, because I tell them all it's going to do is blur out the blades, but they still want to keep the fan going. No idea why. They said it promotes atmosphere. Maybe, I have no idea, but that's the reason I have that going on a lot of my shots. Let's see, Michael, do you do drone with your work? Yeah, I do drone as well. The house I shot yesterday, if I can finish some of these real quick, I can show you the house I shot yesterday that had drone stuff with it. So I might actually do a little bit more hurrying with this house so I can show you some of that. But real quick, yeah, I do shoot drone. It's a fairly new service. People tend to like it. When I say that I can do drone as well, they kind of get all excited. And then I tell them that's an additional cost, obviously, to my fee going out there. And depending on the house and depending on the realtor, they don't mind at all. Transform, click there. So I would straighten that up a little bit. Yeah, I kind of hid that dog cage over there. You can see it. Kind of see the top line of it. It wasn't a big dog cage, but the dog was big in the cage, if that makes sense. Small cage, big dog. So I didn't really want to move that. Let's see. So yeah, that's it. That's it pretty much for that shot. These shots I hate because the walls were really dark. This is actually HDR, and it was exposing for the window, so I knew it was going to be dark. So I would have to bump the exposure up. I'm losing color in the walls there. Do my transform there to straighten these up. This is where I spend a little bit of time playing with the color. So I take the temp down for the white balance and try to cool it down a little bit more with that hot lighting here. I do have another shot where it actually shows the double sync. Let's see, HSL. Yeah, this is where I would get in here and play with the color tones. Take the orange down. You can see as soon as I hit the orange and start playing with a little bit of the orange and yellow, it starts to cool down a little bit. If you actually expose more with the shadows and the highlights, kind of takes that down a little bit. So let's see. I think I had a little bit of trouble editing this one. So you can see the before and after, just quick adjustments, and that's what you get. I think I had a little bit of trouble with this one last time. So let me see the original. Okay, so I took a little bit more time with that. I took out a lot of yellows, a lot of oranges, so you can see how that played there. It looks almost clinical, almost sterile, but he really liked that it looked clean, and that's the whole point. Let me just go by some of these. Not really too impressed. Had to stand in the hot tub to get this one, just like that. Let me get through here. Yeah, again, I hated that the shower wasn't clean enough. That really bugs me. Window wasn't clean enough because you can see those smudges. That bugs me a little bit. Let's go down here. This was a little man cave that he had, and this one's kind of a playhouse looking photo because it's all warped a little bit. But update. Let's do an update on the transform. Straightens everything up. And this is just a matter of just playing with the exposure of the inside and just trying to cool it down a little bit. I know people say that adding warmth to a photo actually brings out a little bit of the it kind of creates a good feeling of the photo, but sometimes when it's too warm, it just looks a little messy. So I'm taking this on the stairs, which was elevated. It wasn't the best position, but if I got down here, I would cut everything off. So that would basically be roughly, let me go ahead and see the original. So yeah, it was almost the same edit. I'm going to go ahead and skip this one just because I didn't really want to get this one at all. Hey, it's got a tanning bed too. How nice is that? I didn't really want to get this one at all, but he wanted to show in context where it was. And I kind of had to split it, do a little half and half photo here, and I didn't really want to do that. But little man cave area. He wanted to show the tanning bed. I didn't really care about it, but I took this one as well. Again, glare. I asked if I could remove this because they bought a brand new TV to go down here, and I wanted to remove this. But he said that he would have to ask the owners and all this kind of stuff, so I didn't worry about it. But for this one would kind of be a little bit of adjustments as well as far as color. But I would go ahead and update there. Let's see. I would definitely bring the exposure up and then bring the highlights down to kind of lessen some of that. But now is when I go into the yellows and take down the yellows, take down the oranges. Not a lot, but maybe the yellow. So, I mean, roughly there it was, I mean, there's no windows, so you're kind of just dealing with regular light. I can help with the color picker and try to sample. Once I sample this, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a really cooler image. So I don't want that. So even that, I don't really prefer. Let's see what the original was. So yeah, did a little bit of more color adjustments, but it was basically the same concept of just playing with the yellows and the oranges to kind of remove some of that. Again, Photoshop, I would have taken that out. Let's see, let's go and get to some of the outside stuff here. Just basic stuff. I did take these. This was fairly easy because it was outdoor and it was nice. I would probably have moved my van once more to get that out of the shot, but he didn't care. Let's see, take that there. This one was just a regular old front shot of the home, nothing major about it. And it was fairly easy to do because the sun was, I think it was to the right of me over here. So I didn't have to worry about too much of kind of like sun flares or anything. I don't think I did this edit the same way as I did the original. So just there. So, I mean, I would probably do this. This will probably be my edit. Let me see what the before and after looks like, and that'll give me an idea. So, yeah, this will probably be my edit because I think he said he wants to use a straight-on view because he likes the front porch of the home. He would like to use that for the cover photo of the MLS, which I think he should have used one of these down here just because it has land, but I guess he wants to, maybe not that one, but he wants to show, maybe that one. He wants to show that a little bit more of the home. So, I mean, I thought I probably would have used that one. I wish he would have let me clone that out. I know you can't really technically do that legally, but I would have liked that. But he wanted this photo to be a little bit more punchy, so that's the reason why it's a little bit more saturated. Let's see. The rest of these photos were pretty simple, pretty basic. It was just copy and pasting the same edits as before. Again, I'm trying to rush through these because I know I got all excited about doing the other home, so I want to get back to that home so you can see that one as well. This one, he wanted land. I was shooting into the sun, which wasn't the best. And so that's about it, pretty much with some of these edits. If I missed anything, if you saw a photo down there that you wanted to see up close, let me know. I'd be happy to show it to you. But so that was pretty much the same stuff all the way around. You know, it's different when the realtor's there with me opposed to when I'm just there walking into the home and photographing on my own. It's a little bit different, but overall he was a pretty good guy. He just had some particular shots that he definitely wanted. So yeah, that's pretty much the that's pretty much the home. I will say this: he wanted this shot. I don't have a clue why. I think he just wanted to show that this was a feature. But I hated delivering this to him. It hurt my soul a little bit. But yeah, that's basically this particular home. So let me go find the other home here. I see I have like collections with all of these homes in here. I think it was this one. Okay, so it was this particular home. Gary, this is the home I was talking about. Let's see. Let me find that bar. So yeah, this was the bar that I shot. And this light over here was on. This was on. This light was off. And I knew I could correct it easily in post. But these, she really wanted that light to be illuminated. So had to steal a light from the kitchen over here somewhere and put it over here. So, Michael, you were talking about drone work. So let me go over here. So this is a quick example of the drone stuff. They really wanted this drone to have aerial stuff because it's on a golf course back here. This is actually the first hole of the golf course, because as I was actually flying the drone, there was like golf balls right over here in this path. And that was, I thought about picking them up just to have free golf balls, but I didn't. But yeah, this is kind of example. And this house was going to be tricky no matter what, no matter where I flew it, really, because it was covered up by trees. So I don't care. I flew it everywhere around this house, and I couldn't get a good, clean shot. I believe this was the cleanest shot I can get, and I didn't really like it that much, but this was the cleanest shot I can get aerial-wise. I had a couple other ones. Let's see. This one, I had a shot going basically from this direction, from bottom left to kind of going upper right. And I noticed that when I was taking that photo, I didn't realize it when I first started doing the drone. I didn't realize it, but the homeowner came home, and the garage door. Let me see if I can find it actually. Filters off. Let's see. There you go. Yeah, the homeowner. This is unedited. The homeowner came home, and her garage door was left open. So I had two ideas. I could Photoshop a garage door in there. Well, that flew by. I could Photoshop a garage door in there, or I could just not use this photo because it really wasn't telling that much anyway. But yeah, that's kind of what that was there. Let me go back to my rated here. But as you can see, if I went as far as the drone stuff goes, I thought the drone was going to be the better part of this photo shoot because I could get close to the house and get elevated, try to get a clear shot. But these actually turned out to be better than the drone because I could kind of snake in between the trees. This one not as much, but this one definitely gets the whole house there. This one gets pretty much the whole house. So, I mean, it kind of just depends. I like the drone because they wanted to see where it was in context of the golf course. As you can see, here's the home. Here is the golf course. Michael says, what type of drone do you have? It's an older one. I have a DJI Phantom Pro 3. It is the third one, and it's still pretty good. I mean, obviously there's some newer things and some better camera features I wish I had, but it's pretty decent for what I need. It does what I need it to do for my very first drone, which was probably a little bit overzealous on my very first drone, but it does what I need it to do, and it does a fairly good job of it for what I need. If I was making like high-res posters or something out of it, then I would probably need something with a better camera. But for MLS listings, this is almost perfect for my area at least, and what I photograph. As soon as I can upgrade to another one, I would love to do that. But I'm going to stick with this one for a while until the motors burn out, basically. So yeah, that's kind of the idea of the drone there. Michael or Gary says those trees look a bit of a mess. They do. They definitely do. There was actually, I mean, that's the front of the home from the street. I mean, you can't get any more covered than that, pretty much. And this is still doing a resolution here, but yeah, you can't even get any more covered than that. So it was a little bit of a mess there. So you're definitely spot on there, Gary. But yeah, this home was actually pretty nice. It had a little loft area. Let's see. Actually wanted me to take a photo of the inside of the garage. Didn't understand that one. Wine cellar. That was a plus. Yeah, it was just an overall nice home. The owner of this home, the owner of this home was actually a chef. Owned a restaurant, a very popular restaurant in the area, and his wife actually ran the restaurant. So he was the chef, she was the manager. So this was the home of the couple, and it was pretty nice. It was probably one of the nicer ones that I've had the ability to shoot. So yeah, I think that was kind of it. That was kind of it for the show. You kind of got a gist of the original home that I was shooting, and all it was basically doing a little bit of color adjustments, and I'm trying to edit it as fast as I can to get to the client while still being obviously top quality, or as good a quality as it can be. Let me go back to that home there. So you can see that it was nicely decorated. It was clean, which made it a lot easier. But I just thought that was a really good home to kind of, Gary said a pool table with a beige cloth. No. Yeah, good call on that one. It also had a whole bunch of cat hair on it, Gary, if that makes it any worse. So yeah, this was a good home to kind of test that out. And one thing I actually want to show you before we stop the recording is how I deliver these photos. That's actually one thing I wrote on my notes to cover. So real quick, after I've edited all of these photos, I'm really happy with how they've turned out. What I'll do is select all of them, and I'll go, let's see, where you go. I'll go to File, and I'll go to Export. And you can see right here, we have a little export section here that says real estate. These are the sizes of the photos that I send. I don't really prefer to send the 660 by 440 at 72 PPI because it's just a really low quality image. But some people want it for fast loading, which is fine. But these are the three sizes that I send. So just real quickly, it's 660 by 440 at 72 DPI or PPI. And then we have 1800 by 1200, 300 PPI, and a 3600 by 2400, 300 PPI as well. So I send those, and what I do basically is we'll click on one here, and it's already pre-filled out with the info. I just need to change some of it. So what it actually does is put it directly in Dropbox. The export folder is in Dropbox, and it's already labeled, and it has the address label here. So what I would do is just change this to the address, type the street name in there. Same thing with the custom name, type the street name there, no spaces, and do a sequence from 1 to sequence on from 1. And let's see, high-res JPEG, and that's about it. I'll hit export. And while that's doing its export on those, I'll do the other two as well, do the same exact thing. I'll label these medium and then label these small. I haven't really done these lately because I don't really prefer to send these. So if they want a lower quality one, if they ask, I'll send this. But that's basically what I do. Sometimes if they need a high-res JPEG for like print, even though this would be a pretty decent print image, I might give them the full res or the full size JPEG, which will probably be about like 15 megs each. So that takes a little while to do. But yeah, I basically just export all of these. All of these go up in Dropbox, and then from then on, I just send the link along with the images. So that's basically it. So that I did make sure I wanted to show you guys that, because that was a pretty important part of this whole process. So that is all. That's all. That's basically the behind the scenes part of it. It probably was a little boring, and I understand, but that just kind of gives you just a really quick idea of the types of things that I would do to a particular photo or a house going in. So just to recap real quick, take all the photos in this particular case, all the photos HDR. I would merge them all first, and then 5-star them so I know where they are in the timeline there, and then just edit them like that. Just kind of do the preset and sync them all, and then just do individual edits from there on. And that's basically what I do. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it was kind of a cool little glimpse into the behind the scenes stuff. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to answer, or I'll answer them actually. Feel free to ask them. But if not, I'm gonna go ahead and end this up, and we'll see what we got here. So he goes, Gary says, "What's with the Team Photoshop shirt?" Yeah, Team Photoshop. Actually, you can see it's my little. I hate pointing on this stuff. Okay, there it is. It's actually my shirt. It's a Picture Monk shirt. But I have a Team Photoshop and a Team Lightroom shirt because I guess it goes back to me and my dad. This is way back in the day, a couple years ago, where I was saying that I thought Photoshop was better than Lightroom, even though I only really use Lightroom a pretty good amount of time. Like 90% of the time I use Lightroom solely. But I was saying that Photoshop was better than Lightroom, and he was saying Lightroom was better than Photoshop. So I just made some Team Photoshop, Team Lightroom shirts. So he has the Team Lightroom shirt. I have the Team Photoshop shirt. So yeah, that's my that's the little shirt I made back when I actually need to get back on the site actually. Before I lost all my website stuff for picturemonk.com, I had the store on there that sold these, so I need to get that back on the site. But yeah, this is the shirt designed. I got a bunch of other ones, but this was the main one that I really like. Yeah, I have this one, and I have another one that says "Straight Outta Camera," and it's that whole Straight Outta Compton thing. Back when that movie was coming out, Straight Outta Compton, the new Straight Outta Compton movie. Back when that came out, I created a shirt that says "Straight Outta Camera," even though that's a lie too. It's not. My images are never straight out of camera. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I guess everybody in chat is good. Michael says, "Thanks, man. Great video." Thank you, Michael. Thanks for you guys joining in. Thanks for all of those who joined in. But yeah, I'm gonna close it up here so I can try to figure out how to get my computer back to normal from all this live stream stuff. But yeah, thanks guys for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next live show. So I'll talk to you guys later.